everybody, it's Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. Welcome to the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast, where we've taken hating to a new level. It's me, your man, MG Marcus Grun, joined by Michael F. Florio and Laquan Jones. Happy Tuesday, fellas.
What up?
Yeah, Laquan, we're going to have a talk on this show.
Are we?
We're going to have a talk. I just want to get inside your brain a little bit. I just want to find some things out. Be careful. I know I'm prepared, but I just want to find some things out. We're doing more what ifs this week. We're gonna do some fantasy wide receiver what ifs. We've done quarterbacks, we've done running backs. We'll do wide receivers as we get this. But Florio, we're all obviously in a text chain. We communicate pretty regularly. I have seen and read some things from Laquan that I can't wrap my head around. I don't know if you have any more insight.
No, I'm with you, man. I understand because we're talking about Cooper Kupp here being a Seattle Seahawk.
Yes.
I understand not enjoying seeing one of your franchise players go to one of your rivals, but like at the end of the day, you guys fired him. Like that's what happened.
So for those of you who are trying to catch up here, which is probably most, if not all of you. Obviously, Laquan is a Rams fan. Cooper Kupp is no longer a Ram. It is instead a Seattle Seahawk. And what happens is that at least a couple times over the last few weeks, LQ will put something in the text chat about Cooper Kupp. It's usually him in a Seahawks uniform.
Just enjoying life.
Just doing his thing, right? Not hurting nobody, whatever.
He's talking about the Rams.
And he's not saying a word about the Rams. He's not saying anything. And the text, the tweet or the link is always followed by just some piece of Haterade, just a giant chilled glass of Haterade in our text chains about this. And I need to understand why, Laquan. I do. I need to understand.
I don't understand why he goes to a division rival. I mean, Florio pointed out he just wanted to go back home. Screw that. Go away. You've been home already for a while.
Yeah.
No, listen, it's business at the end of the day. You are not a top performer of what you once were. And we are ring chasing, so I get the business side of it. But you go to the ops? You go to the Seahawks of all teams? Like, what are we doing? Like, is he expecting to finish his career out at a high level to get a ring? Because it ain't happening at home. Like, come on, man. You should have went to the Patriots or something.
I think he's won his ring.
Patriots.
He wants to finish out with his home, live at home by his family, play for that's where he went to college, right? Like,
yeah. He looks out of shape and miserable.
What if, if the NFL just let you go and you decided you wanted to get closer to home and you go work for the 4-letter network out in Connecticut because it gets you closer to Jersey, like, I'm not gonna sit here and just dump on you on the pod. Like, I'm not gonna do that.
You know what? Now I would every one of your tweets. I'm just replying to.
Just troll. Just hate.
Oh my God.
Hate. I mean, I just don't understand the depths of the haterism because, one, as we said, the Rams released him. It wasn't like he pouted and forced his way out.
True.
They decided that they just needed to move on from him. So they released him, first of all. Second, he helped you win a Super Bowl.
He sure did.
He won a Triple Crown. He helped you win a Super Bowl. He was drafted by the Rams. He built himself up into one of the top receivers in the league. And then the team decided to discard him and move on from him. They're like, we don't care where you go. You can go do whatever. So, point 3, see number 1. You released him. I just don't understand the level.
Listen.
I get to Florida's point, I get, okay, he went to the Rams, that hurts a little bit, it stings a little bit. But for me as a fan, if it were somebody like that, I would applaud, I guess it's a little bit different, right? Because the Commanders and the Niners don't really have a rivalry like that. But I'm not mad about Deebo Samuel leaving. He gave us a lot of great years and a lot of great memories. It's you know what, man? I wish you well. I hope you have success somewhere else.
Well, I'm not that ex that wishes well. I'm the ex that is all right, you're dead in my life. Because this is the thing. If we break up, you don't go to my op. my opposition to
You
my
broke
enemy.
up with him.
You broke up with him.
So
broke
what?
up
For the
with
better.
him.
For better. We elevate. But here's the
Okay,
thing.
so wait, somebody you can elevate, but he can't?
And then
This
you
is
did
just
it.
haterade.
You replaced
I'm that
it
ex.
with an older player.
That's the other
It
part.
wasn't like, hey, we're trying to get young. It was just, we want different.
We tried to get young because we tried to move up to get Tet McMillan, but that didn't work out, obviously. But I'm good with Devontae Adams. He's a placeover. He's the rebound, you know? You get a little 2 years in, a little honeymoon phase, we get a ring, and then we're out again. We're off to the next.
You know what? You're
Is your wife
offset
aware of
right
this?
now. Cooper Kupp is Cardi
She's
B,
probably listening to
and the
this.
Seahawks are Stephon Diggs.
Man.
Bro, listen, I just don't see it being fair for me to get, crucified because I am not the only Rams fan who feels this way.
Yeah, but you're the
I'm
only
in
Rams
the
fan on this
comments.
podcast.
It's Yankee fans hating Juan Soto for being a Met right now. Like it's that, which
See,
is on a
that's-
whole
you know what?
other level. but
That actually makes more sense to me because like Juan Soto just straight up dissed them and is just like, nah, I don't want to stay here. I want to go somewhere else. Like Cooper Kupp was like, I'm cool here. Like I'm down to chill. And Sean McVay was like, nah, bro, we're done. Like that was it. Like
Listen,
the Soto thing, like I think Yankee fans need to clean themselves up, but that's a whole different conversation. That actually makes a little bit more sense than Laquan being like, hey man, we had a great relationship. You did a lot for us. You helped us win, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you put on that color? You're dead to me. Like, that didn't make no sense to me. Like, you brought
Gavin,
us so
it
much
would have been
success.
worse. It would have
Gavin
been
pointed
worse
out
if
that-
you went to the 49ers. It would have been worse.
Oh, you would have tried
Gavin
to
pointed
burn
out
his
that
house
you welcome
down.
Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we welcome ops. Say, come
so
over here.
Also, if they
and
come
help us
over
out.
here,
Yeah,
come over,
as long
it's
as you know we're
fine.
dominant, we're the better team, and you see a vision of victory here. So you can come.
Aaron Donald's
but if
going to
you
come out
leave-
retirement, sign
my
with
God.
Seattle.
I want
or
to sign.
San
I want him
Fran.
to sign with like the
No.
Cardinals or something. Just be
He
like,
will
man.
stain his legacy. There's a stain on Cooper Kupp's legacy right now because he's playing for the opposition
That's
team.
just so-
A team
that's-
that has no hopes of winning the division, have no hopes for the playoffs, have no hopes.
Isn't that
to
You wanted
even
to send him
compete.
to the Patriots.
I mean, he's
You
far
wanted
away.
to send him- You're like,
He's
he has
far
no
away.
hopes of winning, but you wanted to send him to the Patriots. What are we doing?
Hey, I mean, look, man, go help a young quarterback out. We love Drake May on this pod. So I'm just saying.
You have hate in your heart, let it out. Oh my goodness! All right,
It's all good, man.
One day we will unravel this twine ball of hatred that you have. But
You know
today's
what you
probably
got
not
to
gonna be
do,
the
right,
day.
LQ? You got to draft
What?
Cooper Kupp. Then you will enjoy his success, even on
That's
Seattle.
true. That's true. That's true.
No,
You drafted.
I won't do it.
You drafted him
I
that way.
won't
If he
do it. I
balls
thought about
out,
it and I won't do it.
and if that way, if he balls out, you at least get some benefit out of it. You know?
Nope.
No. Just saying.
Stand my ground.
I will
All
say
right.
I was soured towards Steph Diggs last year, but that was because he kind of forced his way out.
But he's on the
Right.
Patriots now. Like it took a year removed from him going to another team. So if this was
I
like,
was more
I guess
upset when he was
a
a
year
Texan.
from now,
I don't
whatever.
care. I'm like, all right, be a Patriot.
Yeah.
I don't care. But the Texans, I was like, come on, man. Like, you're choosing this over what you had.
Man.
Well,
All right. This is never going to be solved. So, got a few headlines, some hype trains or smoke screens, some big deals or no deals. I put a few on this list. I don't know. We're going to get to all of them just because we were trying to, figure out Laquan's mental state for a little bit. So, let's just get this out of the way. So this actually happened about an hour or so after we did the cheat sheet on Thursday. Of course, because that's just how our luck.
we called it.
The news comes down that Aaron Rodgers finally did what we knew Aaron Rodgers was going to do for months. He signed with the Steelers, right? He was at a point where he had two options. It was either sign with the Steelers or don't play in 2025. He signs with the Steelers, which, side note to this whole thing, he drops the news while two super rich megalomaniacs are beefing with each other on social media. He just slides that in
I
on
was
the
shocked
under.
that he announced then. Because the
You know?
whole day would have been about him. If
Would have
not
been about
that.
him. You're right.
Yeah.
Which seems like a missed opportunity for Aaron.
Aw.
1 year, $13.6 million. I mean, Florida, you've said this before, and I don't think you're wrong. It seems like everybody was drafting Steelers under the belief that Aaron Rodgers was going to sign there, right? Like, I don't think DK Metcalf's ADP is what it is. on the belief that Mason Rudolph was going to be the starting quarterback. So, like, are we done now? Can we stop talking about the Steelers offense for a little while?
Yeah, I think now for the first time we could actually talk about it in a sense of like, I think it's an awful fit for DK Metcalf. Like, he is a 27% target share last year. We're all deep of his targets. I mean, we're all deep targets. And then you have Aaron Rodgers, who's throwing the deep ball less than ever last year, and had the second lowest air yards per attempt of all qualified quarterbacks. And then on top of all of this, you had a guy that I think could have fit better in Russell Wilson, but you also had a guy who in Russell Wilson was being paid a lot by another team and was like, I'm going to sign for the vet minimum. Aaron Rodgers currently being paid a whole lot of money by the New York Jets. Still like, nah, I'm taking $14 million. So like, be careful what you wish for, man. You had a guy who wanted to be a Steeler and I think was a better fit, and you just let him go.
Yeah, I mean, even Russ in his diminished state the last couple of years has been better than Aaron Rodgers. He's just been a better, more productive quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. Is this the lineup? Is this the roster that gets Mike Tomlin fired? Does he survive this year?
I don't want to say yes because I want Tomlin to retire, with the non-losing seasons.
Sure.
But this could be very challenging. It could be one of those situations where, if it's October, November, and it ain't looking like playoffs, he might as well resign himself on respectful terms, because I see this being a train wreck. Like, I don't know what we're going to get out of Aaron Rodgers, if he's going to be like the 4,000-yard passer, the 30 touchdowns, playoffs. But the playoffs aren't the goal for the Steelers. Like, we know that. That's a given. Like, they're going to the playoffs. But can we get beyond that,
No,
like, that's the real
That's the
issue.
thing. Here's the thing. Yeah, in the past, it has been a given that they're going to the playoffs. Like, I'm not sold. Like, this is a playoff team.
Strong.
I'm not sold this is a playoff team right now, right?
I think we say that a lot with the Steelers, that this is not a playoff team, and then somehow they scrape their way with Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. Like,
yeah,
it's
except
insane.
like you figure, Baltimore's probably still the best team in the AFC North. We'll see if the Bengals can figure out how to not start like 0-3.
Who playing defense?
Bills, Ravens, Chiefs are 3 of the 7 seeds.
Bills, Ravens, Chiefs are in the playoffs for sure. The Chargers, I think, could definitely slide into the playoffs. The Broncos could for sure. So that's 5 teams right there. If the Dolphins can figure it out a little bit, they could probably make a spot. We didn't even mention who wins the AFC South. So
they get one. We don't know who.
They get one automatically.
Regardless of how you feel about it, they get a spot, right? So I mean, we're talking about 6. The Steelers right now are very much on the playoff bubble. I mean, I know it's June, but just looking at them on paper, they're very much on the playoff bubble.
I don't think the Bengals are guaranteed, though.
I don't think they're guaranteed. No. But I think they are a good team that has put themselves in bad situations the last few years.
Because I'm trying to wonder, like, who's playing defense? Like, are we suiting up, guys?
I mean, there's that. No, there's that. There's that part for sure.
I feel confident saying 2 out of the 3 of Bengals, Chargers, Broncos will be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So if you put that with
that's
the
fair.
South and then the Ravens, Chiefs, Bills, that's 6 teams, 6 spots. So
that 7th spot is wide open. It seems like the Steelers. It seems like that's them.
I think that is like their worst possible outcome, because they're not going to be good enough to beat any of those top seeds. And then they're going to be exactly where they are now, just kicking the can down the road another year, looking for a new quarterback next year, trying to figure out who it is. Like, Steelers fans that I talk to are like, they know this is a spoiled problem in a way, but they're like, we're sick of making the playoffs. Like, give us a bottom out year where we could just reset and kind of get the new QB, because they've been in this motion now since Big Ben late career. Like, it's not good.
Ben to Mason, Kenny, Russell, Justin, now Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that seems not great.
Not
spoiled
great.
Though, but not great. I get it.
Not
and like
great.
Let's say Rodgers retires after this year.
As
where are you going for this 1-year stopgap? Back to Russell Wilson? Like,
Will Howard season? No.
It could be. but I don't like Tomlin wouldn't allow it to be.
Man, you know what's going to happen, actually, is it's going to be, you know who it's going to be? It's going to be Matthew Stafford.
First of all, watch your mouth. Why would you say that?
Stafford. It's going to be Matthew
What are you
Stafford.
doing? We have a 2-year window, sir. Look at the hate that comes off of his lips. 49ers fan here talking about Matthew Stafford leaving.
I'm just saying, like, you know,
he's happy, okay?
They have been
in shape.
Until he goes somewhere else, and then suddenly you're just like, nope, you're fat, you're old.
Nope. See, he's
never
not
had a strong arm.
He's not a core Ram. Like, we didn't draft him. So there's rules and criteria to this, okay? If Matthew Stafford leaves after 2 years and go plays for the freaking, who knows, the Jets, who cares? I'm not going to be hating him. We got the ring. We good. Great times. Happy times. We're off to the next. We keep it moving.
What if he went to the Seahawks?
Okay, then we're in a different game. Why are you fighting against us?
This is
why are you doing that to us?
Simone Biles levels of gymnastics here that you got going on with this, man. Like, man. Okay.
Look, man, loyal to the core. Don't go against the Ram.
Okay, sure. Texans expected to sign Nick Chubb. I don't spend a lot of time on this. I mean, look, I think from a human interest story, would love to see Nick Chubb come back in and have some success. But Laquan, you are maybe the biggest Joe Mixon supporter on this show. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that like Nick Chubb is going to threaten Mixon at this point, but like, just how much do we think he has left after some major injuries the last couple of years?
Like, I saw a couple of people in the fantasy streets yesterday, like, overreacting, like, oh, Joe Mixon touches are going to come down to earth, and like, he's barely going to get over 200 because Nick Chubb and all. Because we saw Nick Chubb return back, and it wasn't great in an efficiency level. It wasn't great to see him not have that burst and have that type of anger that he runs with that he used to. And obvious reasons, there has to be some type of hesitation recovering back from this serious knee injury. Like, his leg snapped in half, people, and this is the same knee that he damaged in college. Like, this is scary, you know? Like, I think him being a backup to Joe Mixon is more so of like, he'll get touches here and there when Mixon is burnt out, because Mixon is doing duality of that backfield of catching the ball and running the ball. So I could see Nick Chubb having some type of like red zone presence, but I'm not like really scared at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of how I feel about this. Like, I would love to see Nick Chubb kind of get back to form and be productive. Oh, and apparently he has officially signed. So a 1-year deal worth up to $5 million. Thank you, Gavin, for the update. I would love to see him go back to being, you know, productive again. I just, you know, I don't know. I just don't really see it.
You get to a certain point where, you know, injuries win. Like,
they just
age
win.
and injury win.
And I think that's kind of where we are right now with Nick Chubb, unfortunately. Greg Roman says the Chargers wide receiver core is night and day different than last year. Florio, but like, is it though? Like,
no,
really?
It's not at all.
I mean, they drafted Trey Harris, but like, really?
Maybe he's the reason.
They subtract Josh Palmer, bring in Trey Harris, which we'll see. Like, there's more potential there, but will it hit right away? Like we know what Palmer was. We'll see. But I think what he means by this quote is something that Bills GM Brandon Beane said earlier this offseason that Bills fans like attacked him for. Where I think he means is like the confidence they have in this group is night and day, because like Ladd McConkey has proven that he is a wide receiver one at the NFL level, whereas last year he had never even played a snap in the NFL. Like Quentin Johnston, I think they have at least some more reason to feel a little bit more confident than they did at this time last year. So very similar room, but I could see why they feel a lot better about it, because they saw Ladd McConkey ball out in front of the whole league and was like, yeah, we're in good hands for the next 10 years.
Yeah. I saw the quote, like, it's night and day different. And I was like, I mean, they brought back Mike Williams. They drafted Trey Harris. Like, yeah, there are some different faces in the room than were there last year.
Yeah.
But I don't know that this group as a whole and what the expectations for them are is going to be significantly different than what it was last year. That whole thing just made me laugh. Minicamp's underway. I want to do a few like big deal or no deals. We don't have to spend a ton of time on these because a lot of these, you know, it's June. It's minicamp. What are you going to do? Laquan, Terry McLaurin looking for a new deal. He didn't go to OTAs. He is not at minicamp right now for the Commanders. Big deal or no deal?
Big deal. I think he wants to lock up like a long-term contract to be able to align with Jaden Daniels. So I think it's a big deal now because he's underpaid. Like he's getting the same salary as Deebo Samuel right now. And that's one of those things where I would feel disrespected if I've been a consistent, wide receiver for you guys for the last 6 seasons. Like it doesn't make sense why, he has to pound the table to get paid. They should take care of him. But I think this is a big deal because it's going to be time missed. If this leaks into training camp, they'll have this little mini camp, week of like having this distraction. But if this 5-week break that they have until training camp and it leaks over to them, that's going to be a huge issue.
Yeah, I don't know. I think right now, this is one of those things we do this every year, right? With holdouts and that sort of thing, and I'll say what I always say. It's June. Right now, I'm not really worried about it. We get into July, my concern level will go up. We get into August, it goes up a little bit higher. If we get through the majority of the preseason and we're still talking about this, then my concern level goes up. For now, I'm small deal, closer to no deal about Terry
My
McLaurin
concern
right
is if this does leak and let's use Brandon Ayuk for example, how cold he started.
Yeah,
ended up getting hurt. Your body needs to be in football condition at top tier with no stress of being paid or not. And I think that plays a factor into this with Terry McLaurin because, again, we need him there for that chemistry to build with these new people and new faces in the building.
Although, look, if I'm risking my body at the chance of getting hurt, I want to make sure I get paid for it too.
Exactly. Lock him up.
If he gets paid at some point this month, we'll totally forget that this even happened. But
true.
I agree with both of your points. If this is still going on come August, then we have to knock him down. I will say though, I'm expecting to be. I think I am every year, but I'm expecting to be the high guy on Terry McLaurin. I haven't been ranked as a wide receiver 1.
Okay, look at that. I mean, but it also fits considering how high you are on Jaden Daniels too, right?
Yeah.
So it sort of tracks that way.
Yeah, he had his fewest target since his rookie year, but his best fantasy season. Now I'm just like, they're going to throw the ball more naturally, in my opinion. So
I think so.
He's a
too.
3rd round pick. So it's like, you just have to make that decision if he's the best of that 3rd round of available wide receivers right there. And I think he is.
I would be taking him in round 2. So that's
Terry
why
McLaurin,
I think he's a good value right now.
This summer, Terry McLaurin is going to be a Google guy in the sense of like, you're going to be on the clock and you're going to Google like, hey man, what's the latest update on Terry McLaurin? Like before you decide.
Just pay him. If you were the Commanders, you watched with your eyes last season. Behind him, your top option was Zach Ertz, and you made the NFC Championship game. Like, just pay this guy. He is worth the money.
For sure. Absolutely. Raheem Morris today, speaking at minicamp for the Falcons, talked about Kyle Pitts. Said he is a matchup problem.
Florio's leaving.
I'll let you guys discuss this.
Florio, big deal or no deal, man? Like,
this is no deal. Like, I want this to be a big deal, but how many times and how many different coaches are we going to hear say this about Kyle Pitts? It's every year, right? Like, oh, this is the year that and like, I won't lie, in my best ball drafts right now, like, I'm taking Kyle Pitts because his ADP is like tight end 18. So I have him on a couple of teams as my second tight end or whatever, but like, I'm not getting sucked in again. Like, I need to see it actually happen on the football field before I allow my emotions to get hurt again.
Yeah, I mean, look at this is no deal. Like, however you felt about Kyle Pitts coming into this, you're not changing because you hear this. It's just not. Like, if you somehow were still there on Kyle Pitts Island, 1, you're probably really lonely. But
sick.
2, this is not. It's not changing your feeling. And if you jumped off, you swam off the island, or you got a boat ride out, you're not turning around just because you hear this. So, yeah,
that's not a big deal. Let's just move on.
I'm just gonna slip this in right now because Gavin just let us know, and I saw it on Twitter after he let us know. Myles Garrett was asked about Aaron Rodgers playing in his division, and he said, "I think it's a good opportunity to put him in the graveyard."
Yes, yes. I freaking love that.
I mean,
Tyler Rake style. Let's go.
I mean, if we're keeping it a buck, I mean, like he almost put another Steelers quarterback in the graveyard, right?
Yeah.
When he
actually had like it's Halloween, right? Where he does that, like he makes his yard a graveyard of all the QBs he's sacked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think he's crazy enough where that's not just on Halloween. Like I think he just lives that way.
That's just his house. I mean,
yeah,
let's not
that's his
forget
backyard.
what he did to Mason Rudolph a few years ago too. So, yeah. All right. Good luck, Aaron. Good luck. James Cook is at Bills minicamp. Florio, I'm guessing you think this is a big deal.
Oh, this is a ginormous deal. No, in all seriousness, though, like I wasn't worried about him missing like voluntary camp and stuff like that. And I still think the best case scenario for both parties is to work something out. Even if it's a 1 year, like renegotiate the amount of money or whatever. Like the Bills offense is better with James Cook, and the Bills offense is James Cook's best landing spot. So like make it work. And if so, I think we're looking at James Cook as a solid like I don't know if he falls because of the contract stuff or if he falls just because people are like concerned if he's going to do what he did last year again or whatever. But I have him on a number of best ball teams where he just like I didn't want James Cook, but I was like, oh, James Cook is still here. Like, yeah, I'll take him. He's fallen way past his ADP.
Yeah, I mean, but I do wonder whether or not that ADP comes up now, if he's showing up at minicamp in the hope that, hey, you know, maybe things are working out, two sides going to be okay. So I wonder if that's going to impact ADP as well.
Yeah.
Something to watch for. But, you know.
He's in the back end of the third round. This isn't terrible. It shouldn't move, honestly.
Yeah, I don't
know
how much
are
more
like close.
Yeah, I don't know how much more movement he's going to get. We'll see for sure. Time for a few what ifs. I got 5 of them right here. Some of them we've already sort of touched on, but I felt like it'd be fun to kind of dive in a little bit more with here in this little section here. So first one, we kind of talked about this earlier. I think last week it was. Florio, what if Brian Thomas Jr. isn't really that dude? Because you got to pay a high price right now to get him.
Yeah, first round price. And if you put this on the internet will come for you. Because after our show last week, I was like, I want to do some digging into this. And I did a lot of digging and put out a whole thread. And like, it depends on how you view it. Because if you look at just year stats, he was objectively amazing. Mm-hmm. But he was better with Mac Jones than Trevor Lawrence. He was significantly better and more utilized when Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk weren't out there. And it wasn't until all of that happened in week 13 on that he broke out. Now, a lot of people in my mentions being like, well, that's called being a rookie and getting better as you go. And like, they finally decided to use him as a wide receiver 1 and stuff like that. But I do think it adds a little bit of volatility. Like it, and I said this on a different show I was on the other day. Like you hear people be like, I don't know if I want Jonathan Taylor because so much of his production came in a short sample size, but you don't hear anyone say that about Brian Thomas Jr. And that was 100% the case. Like, again, much better with Mac Jones and when all of the other targets were gone. And I think it depends on how you view Travis Hunter and how big of a threat he is to steal volume away. But I think Travis Hunter is amazing. So like they have a legit 1-2 punch there. I still have Brian Thomas Jr. ranked as a wide receiver 1, but like, I have AJ Brown ahead of him. I know that is something you don't see in ADP and stuff. And then I think like him versus Nico Collins, him versus Ladd McConkey. To me, those are legit conversations, but they're not going to be in fantasy drafts. Like Brian Thomas Jr. is going to go way before, like not way before because they're all early picks, but he's going to go before those guys.
Well, and Laquan, Florio mentioned what I was going to get to. The Jaguars spent the number 2 overall pick on Travis Hunter and immediately said, oh no, he's a wide receiver, right? Mm-hmm. And like I get it. 2 wide receivers can certainly coexist in the same space at the same time and both be very productive. But I don't know, should we take something away from that Liam Cohen was immediately like, oh no. We are making this man a wide receiver. We're going to get him the ball. Like that feels like that's, not that they're dumping on Brian Thomas. Like they don't think he's bad, but they obviously feel like they need somebody in there to sort of complement him in this offense.
I think what we're missing here too, also, it comes down to Trevor Mid-Lawrence. Can he support
Yeah.
Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr., which I think it's on the table that he could. He was able to support Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk. These are obviously different duos of wide receivers and pass catchers that we're talking about right now. But Brian Thomas Jr. ADP is not reflecting any type of like impact of Travis Hunter, which plays a huge risk. Like Florio said that he has AJ Brown ranked higher than him. I actually have Drake London ranked higher than him just based on security of the offense that he's in. Drake London likely is going to have that 27-28% target share because we've seen it. We've seen it done with Kirk Cousins and with Michael Penix. So I feel like with Brian Thomas Jr., he needs to come down a little bit for me to be interested in taking that gamble in him because at the same time, we don't know what Travis Hunter is going to do on offense. He could honestly be the 1B of this situation where he can eat into some of that volume that Brian Thomas Jr. saw on the back end. And Florio pointed out as well that he had better production with Mac Jones.
Who?
And it's like, yeah,
Mac
exactly.
Jones.
Like what
Mac
happened
Jones.
with Trevor Lawrence in that beginning of the season, which I think honestly, if we give some leeway, some slack to Trevor Lawrence, it's more so the beginning of the season. Brian Thomas Jr. is a rookie. He has his chemistry already built with his top two pass catchers with Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk. But throughout the time, the 9 games that Trevor Lawrence was there, we kind of seen Brian Thomas develop into the obviously number 1 target. So there's both sides of the fence where you can come out with a great wide receiver 1 that can hit those pinnacles that you think he could hit with Trevor Lawrence, or he could be a bust and end up being a low-end wide receiver 2 because of the Travis Hunter impact. So I'm pivoting, if he's going to be that first-round price.
Yeah, so far when I've been there late first round, and he's on the board, I've been hesitant to take him so far just because of that. And look, here's it. This could be Amon-Ra St. Brown all over again, right? Remember Amon-Ra's rookie year? He got hot at the end of the season, and a lot of people said, well, it's because the Lions had a bunch of injuries, and he was the only healthy guy there, and let's be really cautious. And then the next year, Arsbo went out and balled again, and we were all like, okay, no, this guy actually is #good. So I think this is the opportunity for Brian Thomas to
He's
sort of
good,
prove.
But we have to question the quarterback. That's where I'm at with it.
Which, side note to that, Trevor Mid-Lawrence sounds like a second-rate character in a Thor comic.
I love that.
It's like Thor, Loki, and then like they went on an adventure with Trevor Mid-Lawrence, something.
Trevor Mid-Lawrence.
Yeah.
I know I'm about to sound like a hater, like LQ with Cooper Kupp, but I remember.
Well, damn.
I remember watching Brian Thomas Jr. late in the season. I was playing him in a big fantasy matchup or something like that, and he had like a 89-yard like touchdown or something like that. Like, don't quote me on the exact yards, but it was an insanely super long touchdown where I remember being like, there was literally no one in his vicinity. Like, it was a complete broken play. And I'm just going to say, like, fantasy community loves to point that out when it's Quentin Johnston. But when it's a darling like Brian Thomas Jr., we put blinders on, Like I remember a number of broken plays benefiting Brian Thomas Jr. in that.
Maybe he's that good at route running, Nobody
nobody says a negative. But
nobody says that about Quentin Johnston either.
Well, it's either he gets the broken play, he gets the touchdown, or he drops it. Who knows? That's the problem.
Oh, man. All right. Laquan, what if there are too many wide receivers in Houston?
Ooh. Well, if there's
that
too many wide receivers,
feels like a real possibility.
You kind of feel bad for Nico Collins then, because it's like, all right, man, we need you to be the wide receiver 1 that we're paying for in this first round or on the turn in the second round. If Higgins, Noel, Christian Kirk, if any of these guys step up and we don't get a productive Nico Collins or a healthy Nico Collins, I feel kind of left out. I kind of feel like I'm left with the bag of poo, drafting Nico Collins, because he's one of those guys you have to worry about with the injury concern. You have to worry about Stroud bouncing back with the offensive line being terrible. And then these new faces, these new guys. Who's to say that Jaden Higgins doesn't become like the red zone threat? Who's to say Noel doesn't become CJ Stroud's immediate target because Christian Kirk is basically regressing? But he's one of those guys that I feel like he'll become like a security blanket for CJ Stroud if this O-line is still bad. So that makes Nico suffer on the deep ball where he's electric, where he's the best freaking dominant wide receiver out there when that thing is going and gelling. So there's a lot of question marks, with this wide receiver core, if they're going to be able to gel and like everybody can eat. But again, I'm a little hesitant on Nico because his price is high too, like Brian Thomas Jr. as well.
I mean, this time last year, Florio, we were talking about the Texans wide receiver group and the Packers wide receiver group sort of in similar terms. The difference being the Packers were probably a little bit cheaper in drafts because, you know, we love Nico Collins. People were excited about Tank Dell. Stephon Diggs had come over. So there's definitely more excitement, more hype around them, and you had to pay a higher draft price for them. But in the end, and look, admittedly, injuries had something to do with it. But in the end, neither of those wide receiver rooms was very satisfying. We've already sort of washed our hands of Green Bay. Like, what's stopping us from sort of doing the same with the Texans right now?
The difference is the Texans have an alpha wide receiver, in my opinion. Like, Nico Collins was the alpha when he was sharing the field with Steph Diggs and Tank Dell. Like, no offense to Christian Kirk and these rookies, they're all fighting for scraps, in my opinion, behind Nico Collins. My concern with Nico is, what is the health of CJ Stroud's shoulder right now? What is the state of that O-line? But I don't have concerns about these other wide receivers eating like heavily into his workload. I think they're all complementary pieces. And to me, again, if you stood out after the big acquisition of Steph Diggs and when Tank Dell was still what we thought was Tank Dell, like, I think you're going to be fine pushing aside a couple of day two rookies and Christian Kirk at this point.
Yeah. I didn't put, we're going to do like a draft prices, right? I didn't put Nico Collins in there, but maybe we can talk about that one too.
He's in there in the nasty work.
It's just a tough situation. Florio, what if Father Time has finally caught up to Mike Evans?
Look, I know at some point it's going to happen, but I don't think this is the year because I am a big believer, and it's something that I've changed my approach in the last couple of years. I used to think that I could find the player that was going to age well and stuff. And it's just an effort in futility, right? Like, some are going to age better than others and stuff. But in my opinion, if you have a rule of like when an aging player, and for receivers, aging to me is over 30 years old, shows a sign of decline in their metrics and stuff like that, believe them. Because we talk about it all the time on this show. The age cliff happens very fast in the NFL. You usually see a year where a player is not quite himself, and you could always write that up to different reasons, but then usually it look at Tyler Lockett, right? Like 2 years ago, it was like, okay, that might be the sign of a decline, and then the next year he was unusable in fantasy. Like Cooper Kupp is another one. Stuff like that happens fast. But I look at Mike Evans' metrics, and his yards per route last year was the tied his career high. His yards per target, his separation, all of that. It was either on par with his career norm or even higher. His worst years, believe it or not, were the 2 final years with Tom Brady, metric-wise, which was for a bit why I thought Mike Evans was starting to fall off. But he has just been so good these last couple of years and I feel like you get that discount baked in his ADP a bit because Mike Evans never gets drafted as a wide receiver 1, yet routinely is up there with the wide receiver 1. So you get him as like a mid wide receiver 2. I think you're getting that discount baked in.
Should I not freak out, Laquan, about the fact that it took until the very last play of the regular season to get Mike Evans over 1,000 yards last year? And they had to run a play specifically.
And
on
everybody
the final
knew it was
play.
coming.
Everybody knew it was coming, right?
It's like the
we all
NFL
knew
just held hands together and like, do it, Mike.
we all cheered. We all sat and cheered for it. We did. It was exciting. We loved it. Like I shouldn't read too much into that. Is what you're saying?
No. Right. I think if we get Mike Evans healthy, and we saw, his production actually increase with guys like Chris Godwin go down in injury, like the volume is going to be there. And Baker Mayfield is playing really good football now. Like this is a brand new invented paid Tampa Bay Baker Mayfield. Like we're not questioning the quarterback position right now. So I'm expecting good production out of Mike Evans. He's one of those guys that I'm ready to die on the hill for. I'm drafting him every single year as a high-end wide receiver 2 on my team because it's like to get Malik Neighbors and Mike Evans in the 3rd round, I feel like that is just a beautiful way to start. And I think how I attacked a couple of these best ball drafts, he's falling even less than the 3rd round. So it's like people are forgetting that Mike Evans is still an alpha. He's still him. Like the 1,000-yard thing ain't easy to do, and he's out there doing it, even though he was force-fed last year, though. But we're still going to champion Mike Evans
game
as a
pace,
one.
Though, was 1,200 yards. Like he did miss 3 games last year.
And it's still ridiculous that he's still going out there being as productive as he is. I mean, it's really insane. So I'm dying on the hill with Mike Evans, man. Age. Beat the age.
Okay. No, that's fine. But I feel like we just have to ask the question. That's cool. Laquan, what if Sean Payton finds out who Marvin Mims is?
This is funny to me when I saw it too, because I was like, he's probably not ever going to find out who he is, man. Like, it's just one of those things where like he had that big surge at the back end of the season. I know, Sean Payton saw that because he actually was averaging 14 fantasy points per game from week 10 and on. So it's one of those things that he had those big surges in the game, especially the last two where he hit like 20 plus fantasy points in back-to-back games. It's more so you look at the snap percentage, and that's why you don't think that Sean Payton knows who he is. He's playing 32% of the snaps in that time frame, even with that surge. So obviously he's a weapon of the offense. He's going to be deployed at certain moments. So his role is to be that. Him and Troy Franklin are basically trading off on that 9 route that they hit every single time when they make the big plays. But it's more so you got Pat Bryant there. That's that new toy, and you're going to be hearing about him during camp. So I'm waiting I got all the beat writers basically highlighted on all my tabs, for Blue Sky and Twitter. So I already know Pat Bryant's going to make an impact in that wide receiver room. So it's like, oh, who's Marvin Mims? Oh, that guy. Yeah. So there's that. And yes, this is wide receiver 3. Yes, I knew you were going to come with it.
Oh, no, that's not what I was going to say at all. I was going to say, all you've done, though, is by setting up all your tabs with beat writers from Denver, you've created your own little echo chamber because when one guy or when one reporter says it, like all of them are going to say it, and you're going to be bombarded with all this positive or negative Pat Bryant news, and your emotions are just going to swing wildly one way or another. Because
that is very true, because I don't know many beat writers that write for Denver or report for Denver. So it's one of those things. I don't have a trusted source yet, so I'm going to try to filter it out. So we'll figure that out soon. Yeah.
All right. Also, I'm going to just go to you for any Denver Broncos stuff, because you are you're our Broncos guy now on this show.
I mean, RJ Harvey, man.
RJ Harvey, Bo Nix, Pat Bryant.
We're all in on the offense, bro. I saw Florio on Insiders yesterday talking about Bo Nix as well, man.
All right.
Look, I don't like him as much as you. I'm not going to claim to be the Knicks guy, but I top 10
you
for sure.
You are the Knicks guy.
Oh, we're taking that.
You are the Knicks guy. You're just the KNICKS.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, Knicks tape, baby. Let's
there
go.
There it is.
Also, how's that superstar status working out, Tyrese Halliburton? Averaging 13 points per game or something like that.
They did win game 1 of the series.
Yeah. He did nothing for 47 minutes. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but you're not a star if you could vanish for 4 quarters and your team could still
be a as Gavin said, but that 48th minute, man.
48th minute, man.
Hey, he's clutch.
I guess I need to find somebody that I hate the way Laquan hates Cooper Kupp and the way you hate Tyrese Halliburton.
I don't hate many athletes, but he is him and that entire Indiana Pacers team.
And I don't hate Cooper Kupp. I hate his decision making. That's it.
All right.
That's about
fine.
it.
All right. Fair enough. Florio, what if all the rookies are just meh at wide receiver?
It would be very unfortunate. NFL teams would be very upset. I will say this is the first time in a while where I'm not I like Travis Hunter a lot, but you have to take him as a wide receiver 2, right around like Devonta Smith and McMillan and those guys. So last year I was pounding the table for Malik Neighbors. I was really in Marvin Harrison Jr. and we're going to talk about him. But I like this wide receiver class, but I'm not crazy in love with it like I was in past years. So I think this is very much possible. In fact, I'll say I have a lot of shares of the late round dart throw rookies like Pat Bryant and those guys. I'm not as I have a couple in my best ball of Travis Hunter and McMillan and stuff, but I'm not. It's not like last year where or even every year probably for the last 5 years where there's rookies that you could just pound the table on. I do think this class, we said it during the draft and I'm feeling it now. It does, the high end talent feels a little bit weaker than it typically is.
Well, and even look, when I looked at it, the high end talent landed in spots where you're not really in love with the quarterback situation. You look at Ted McMillan, Bryce Young definitely improved last year compared to where he was his rookie year, but we're still not looking at Bryce Young as this guy who's just going to feed fantasy families right? And so like with Ted McMillan, it's kind of Travis Hunter. I mean, I know how you feel about Trevor Mid-Lawrence, right? Off running side quests with Thor and Loki. And so
he would hang out with I'm not thinking of his superhero name, the dude from Parks and Rec, Chris Pratt's character.
Star-Lord. Yeah, he'd be with.
Yeah, he's not cool enough to hang out with. Thor.
He's a guardian. Trevor Mid-Lawrence is one of the guardians.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair enough. I'm looking, but you look at the guys who are in maybe better offenses, right? But Emeka Egbuka is buried on the depth chart. Luther Burden, there's a lot of competition there. Matthew Golden. I mean, let's not get into the Packers wide receivers again. Lord. Higgins and Knoll. Jack Besh, I think, is down the list there in Las Vegas. I mean, there just aren't a lot of easy, like last year, we looked at Malik Neighbors, we're like, yeah, man, that's the dude. We thought that about Marvin Harrison Jr. That didn't work for various reasons, but we saw the vision, right? We saw the vision with Harrison. There's nobody here in this group that I look at and I'm like, yep, that's the dude that's going to eat for sure this year.
No, and I think that's the biggest problem just based on where some of these guys are going, like Travis Hunter and Ted McMillan. They're going in the 4th round. I'd rather not take that gamble there. I'd rather take proven talent. Like, if you ask me, it may sound crazy. I might take Sutton. I might take George Pickens. I might pivot to these other players that I feel Sutton like are in better positions. Yeah, and like guys like that, I'd rather have in that round. But honestly, how heavy the first 3 rounds are going with these wide receivers, I'm honestly not looking in the 4th round for a wide receiver rookie. Like, I'm not looking there for any upside for a guy because, to be honest, I'm looking for a running back there. I feel like the position is stronger in that 4th, 5th round at the running back spot than to gamble with some of these other guys like a Jameis Williams or a Travis Hunter, like I said. Like, that is the 2 areas like I kind of pivot to.
I'm in on Jamison Williams this year.
Oh, I am. God.
I'm in on Jamison Williams this year.
Yeah, I like
Why?
Why?
Would you take Devonta Smith or those rookies?
Devonta Smith, hand down. I think he's already off the board, actually.
I think he's going sandwich. Last I looked at their ADP, I think he's right in between the 2 rookies.
That's disrespectful then.
Yeah, I think
that's crazy.
I'll take Skinny Batman.
You know what it is, though? It's people that are just now coming outside, like for fantasy and drafting, because I did see Ted. Like, all right. I did not realize he was going in the 4th round. I thought he was later.
I have a friend who just did like a best ball for the first time this week. And he was like, I don't know any of these rookies. So, like, I think there's other people who are starting to draft who are like, they think it's fun to draft a rookie and stuff, you know?
Final segment of the show. We're going to do a little bit of draft prices right. We did it last week with running backs. We'll do it this week with some wide receivers. I got 5 guys on the list. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Talked about him a little bit earlier. How, is Brian Thomas Jr. maybe a redo of that? We'll see. Wide receiver 6 right now. And we got news last week that he had gone through some offseason surgery. So, I mean, knowing all of that right now and no Ben Johnson, Florio, wide receiver 6, too high, too low.
There's always a third option in the Goldilocks story of just right. And that's where I think, because I have him ranked as wide receiver 6. I have Malik Neighbor, literally my shirt and LQ's shirt ahead of him. With Puka and Malik Neighbors. And I put that on Twitter the other day and people thought it was like a hot take, I guess. And I'm like, well, not only did he lose Ben Johnson, they also lost their pass game coordinator. So it is a first-time play caller in Detroit. Plus, they lost 2 interior offensive linemen and they have a pretty tough schedule this year. Like it just, the knee surgery, all of that. I'm looking at Malik Neighbors with a QB upgrade. I think his upside is wide receiver 1. I think Puka Nacua, his upside is wide receiver 1. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's upside is like top 3, top 5. I don't know if he quite has wide receiver 1 in his range of outcomes.
Yeah, I don't think he's an overall wide receiver 1, but I think, I say this. When you're drafting a guy in that area, that range, it's not because you think he's going to be the best or you think he's going to be like the 6th best wide receiver. It's that the range of outcomes for that guy is a lot narrower than for other players. And I think that's what it is for Arsba at this one. We sort of talked about this before. Laquan, Marvin Harrison Jr., the pictures are floating around social media. Apparently he has discovered lifting weights or something. I don't know.
Great.
He's super jacked. If you haven't seen it yet, the Cardinals put out a picture of Marvin Harrison Jr. in his jersey, and dude's got triceps on top of triceps now.
Definitely not airbrushed or anything.
Definitely not photoshopped or airbrushed or enhanced in any way possible.
We still do
at
that?
all. I'm sure somebody still does. But right now he's going wide receiver 14 after a disappointing rookie season. Is that too high, too low, or, Goldilocks just right?
Too high. And I say that respectfully. And it's not him as a talent that the problem is that Drew Petzing, this is his third year with the same offense of just boring and not creative. And then it's Kyler Murray who can't connect with his wide receiver one. We haven't seen it done in a very long time. So with all these question marks, I'm not in on it. Like, I'm just not comfortable with it because it's like I'd rather pivot to other options there because we talked about some of them. There's other wide receiver twos that have wide receiver one type of spike weeks. I don't know if Marvin Harrison is going to be as consistent to be a wide receiver one on my team. So I'm just going to drop him down further outside the top 15 until I see otherwise.
Yeah, I 14 feels a little rich for me. The thing, though, I keep coming back to, he had 8 touchdowns last year. And I keep going back in my head and when and how? Like, it just, right? Like, it just didn't feel like
I saw
8
them.
touchdown year.
Yeah,
I saw it too.
Circle that game.
Yeah.
Look,
There you go.
I think the Cardinals played well against the 49ers last year. And I think Harrison had a couple touchdowns against them. Actually had one late in the season. But overall, I'm just like, it just didn't feel like it. Maybe because he never put up any big yardage numbers really during the season.
No.
It just the touchdown
They
number.
figured out how to use him in the red zone. I'll tell you that.
So
They did figure that
quick
out.
stats on him real quick. He had the second highest rate of uncatchable targets amongst receivers, the most tight window targets, and the 5th most unrealized air yards. Like, at some point, it's like what LQ said, it's on the OC. I think it's also on Kyler Murray. Like,
Well,
Kyler can get to the ball to the tight end and to the running backs and stuff, but the out wide deep throws are the hardest ones to make in the NFL.
Kyler told us it's not his job to get Marvin Harrison targets.
He was like,
He
"You want
also
me to
told
make
us Greg
those
Dortch
throws?
is a
I
wide
got Trey
receiver one."
McBride right here."
To which we all universally said, no, bro, it actually is your job to get him targets.
He said Greg Dortch would be a wide receiver one, man, if he's just a little bit taller. So he's obviously all for the short kings.
I forgot about Dorchland. I forgot all about that.
We didn't forget. Don't worry. He's in a lot of my best ball leagues. I'm still believing
You
in
haven't showed
him.
it up Dorchland yet? Like,
No, the amusement part won't start until probably closer to August, but we'll see. We'll see at the circus.
All right. I'm sure that Scooby and the gang will be there finding criminals at the abandoned
They'll find
Dorchland
me in the back.
Florio Matthew Golden right now is the wide receiver 42. For context, Jaden Reed is wide receiver 43. I know we're not really in on the Packers. This still feels wildly high for at least for Matthew Golden.
I think it feels about right because there's like you could sell yourself a pick, like there's upside here and stuff, but yeah, I guess I think it's too high because I'm not taking like Ricky Pearsall goes right ahead of him. I'd rather that. Brandon Ayuk is going wide receiver 46. I am taking him all day at that cost.
Yeah.
Like, to me, the 49ers receivers are the best bargain at this position, like as a whole, because their earliest ADP is Jawan Jennings at wide receiver 35 right now. And then like Steph Diggs is in that range, Shakir. So it depends on what you want, right? Like, I think you could make an argument that Golden has that like untapped upside there. We don't know what he is and everything, but there's a lot more like safe, proven players that also have upside that I just find like the 49ers guys are my, if they're there in that range, I'm taking them.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, last year was not a great year for the 49ers. A lot of guys were injured. They didn't play particularly well, and I think that has scared a lot of people away. At a lot of their current ADPs, I'm buying just because I believe that there's still talent there, and it's just about keeping guys healthy, and they're gonna come back. Laquan, Cooper Kupp is wide receiver 49. Too high or too low?
Listen, man, listen. I will say this. If you are interested in drafting Cooper Kupp at wide receiver 46, by the way, I would say this. Just make sure your other wide receivers are healthy. They're on a team that actually have some type of assignments and roles of who's playing what, and a competent quarterback that doesn't fall off a cliff.
Why are you talking about the Seahawks like they just met in the parking lot before the game and decided to show up and play? Like, they're a professional team with coaches and planning and organization. Like, what are you talking about?
Listen, Kupp saw us smack them twice a year, every year for years, and he chose that destination to go to. That is his fault. I am not drafting him this year, honestly. I'd rather pivot. I'll pivot. I don't see much of like a wide receiver one of him anymore, which sounds crazy coming out of my mouth. But for the past 2 seasons, he hasn't been that.
I don't think he's a wide receiver one. No, I don't think so at all. Which, by the way, we smacked them twice a year for a number of years. Last year you split. 2 years ago you swept. 2 years ago you swept. 3 years ago you got swept. Like, come on, this is not like smacking them twice a year.
The winning overtime touchdown.
3-3.
Yes.
Relax. Relax.
Like,
chill.
It's like, it's like a joke from The Simpsons. Like, oh yeah, those losers in Shelbyville, we beat them half the time anyway. Like, that means you lose to them half the time too. Like, what are we doing?
We have more success. How about that? We got a ring. How about that?
All right, I mean that's fine, but it's not like you smacked them twice a year every year.
They suck. They're in the Cardinals' bag. They're the little brother that talks crap to you. You're like, yeah. You punch them in the arm real hard, and all right, get away. All right, that's just what they are. I mean, they get lucky sometimes. Every dog has their day. That's it.
Okay.
What about the fact that per this tweet, he's Kurt Cobain?
Yeah, I've heard the tweet going around says he looks like Kurt Cobain now. Cooper Kupp now moved to Seattle. The new hair.
Yeah, it looks like he hasn't showered in like a week, man. He's miserable. He's growing his hair all messy.
He's about to join a Pearl Jam cover band. You know, it's like, this is going to do. It's going to be great. Last one here for you, Florio. Xavier Legette, wide receiver 65, which feels low considering he makes a cameo in a new Glorilla video. Like, what's going on?
Nice.
Can he get some love for that?
And he makes a cameo on our show as well this summer. So I'm saying take him. I will say, though, like, this might sound crazy, but there's a lot of wide receivers I like going wide. Like, Kyle Williams is wide receiver 58. Mims is 59. Hollywood Brown, to me, at 62 is an auto draft every time I'm up and he's there. Like, I like Josh Palmer at 64. Legette, 65. Like, there's still talent to be had here. So, yeah, I'm in on Xavier Legette at that cost.
Yeah, I think it's 65. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, yeah, I know we're excited about Tep McMillan, but it was Legette that led the team in both targets and catches last year as they're trying to figure things out down there in Carolina. But, he should get the bump for being in a Glorilla video where it looks like he's about to, like, hook up.
Get a glow
video. Yeah, man.
He didn't tell us about that when he was on the show, though.
Yeah,
I
feel like he held out on us, man. Like, I thought we were cool, but apparently
he couldn't tell us. He couldn't tell us. Some people, they want to be a surprise project because Glow's about to drop. So I know the summer is going to be all crazy.
I won't lie. On my Instagram, it said her and Xavier Legette, and I still was like, wait, Xavier Legette's in her music video? Like, I saw the name and still couldn't believe it.
Oh man. So but yeah, friend of the show, and obviously now a guy who's making appearances in music videos. So that's actually I actually went to type it in Google, and before I could finish it, it just like auto-filled. It said Xavier Legette Glorilla dating.
I knew it. Let's start the rumors.
It's a rumor. Nobody knows, basically, because he's in the video. People are like, are they dating? But no one has confirmed anything just yet. So
what would their couple name be? Do people still do that?
I mean, I don't think the couples ever come up with names. I think it's just the paparazzi that comes up.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of.
Yeah,
Glowly.
No idea. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Yeah, Glowget. That's weird.
Glowget.
I don't know. We'll workshop that. We'll keep workshopping that and try to figure out something later on in the summer. A little bit of housekeeping for you as the leaf blowers come by as we wrap things up here. No cheat sheet coming up this week. We'll be back with you next Tuesday. We will probably do some sort of mock draft, something or other next week as well. But summer vacation's happening. Guys are spreading all throughout the winds. So no cheat sheet on Thursday. Back with you next Tuesday as well. So there you go. That'll do it for this edition of the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. Stay happy, safe, and healthy. Do good and live well. Watch out for leaf blowers, everybody. And we will talk to you again next week.